Hello, everyone. This is Chala Dinkoy with Tuesday Tea Time with Chala. Here's my tea. I have been live streaming all day here. If you have caught me, you're probably like, oh my gosh, she's live streaming again. What I've started to do is I've started to do the Naked Marketing podcast live stream as well. So it's been a lot of fun. I have been live streaming like crazy. Now, Tuesday tea time, this is where I get to speak and I get to voice my opinion. I have been away, folks. I've been away. I've been vacationing, staycationing. We can't really go anywhere, but, saw some family. They came here. We did a lot of biking. I've been going to the gym. I have my other eye is going to be operated on Friday. So I'm going to be blind for a week. And as I tell the doctor, like a joke, thank God I don't have any other eyes because like that's as many operations as I can have. They are not cheap, but luckily business has been good. So I can have as many eyes and operations as I can. I'm just going to be on a lot of drugs apparently, which I don't even drink. I don't even drink coffee. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. Let me tell you about today's topic is the bad differentiators for your business that can bankrupt you. And it actually comes from, like I'm nonstop interviewing guests to make up for all the time that I was off last week. And one of my esteemed guests talked about this, where he had a personal training business and he tried positioning himself against every single current trend that was out there. So he was against keto. He was against, oh my gosh, now that I'm like so tired, I'm trying to remember all the things that he was against, but he was against everything that people would be Googling. And what he ended up doing is that's my mistake number one, is going against what the market wants. Because if you go against everything that people are Googling or interested in or is trending, then nobody can find you. So you become this unicorn, which to you is an amazing differentiator and it makes all the sense, but people can't find you and they're not really even interested in listening to you. So that's differentiation mistake number one that I thought I would talk about. And then of course that led to all the other differentiator mistakes that I often find, because when I do talks for CEO groups, I often send them a pre-survey so that I can tailor the conversation and the presentation to them. And one of the, especially they want to see it presentations about differentiation because it's the number one problem for most businesses in most industries. Because unless you've invented something like, Elon Musk, or you've invented something like the Swiffer, or you're the Swiffer of your industry, as I like to call it, like some sort of new technology that's so unique and so new that you can ride that wave until other people copy it. Unless you have done that, you need to figure out a way to differentiate your business, because otherwise you're not going to be able to compete on any level. So the first bad differentiator that can bankrupt you is going against what everybody is looking for, what the market wants. Another type of differentiator that people use that can bankrupt you is your numbers of years in business. And I often say, tongue in cheek, just because you're old, it doesn't make you better. Just because you're old, it doesn't. I mean, people are trying to say that they've been in business for a long time so that they're not a fly by night. They're not, they can't screw up. They have that credibility. But when everybody is saying it, it's not a differentiator. And just by virtue of just being there for a long time, I mean, some of the biggest technologies and the most successful companies haven't been around that long. And some of the oldest companies have gone bankrupt. So years in business is no longer a good differentiator. It helps on the background with everything, but by itself, it's not a good enough differentiator. Now, what about location? Unless you're the only person who does what you do in your location, it is not a good differentiator. It can make you bankrupt. So stop saying you're from this region or that region. Now, I understand that you have to do SEO by location for certain types of industries. Like if you're a plumber, or if you're doing something that's not virtual, if you're selling something physical that has to be there in the same geography, I totally get that. But that is still not a differentiator, because again, unless you're the only plumber in that, postal code or in that geography, that's not going to help you. Or if you're the only coach, and coaching again is not something that can be done virtually. I've been doing virtual coaching to US clients for the last decade. So we have never ever used geographic differentiators. Number 4 is when people say that their service is their differentiator. Now, I'm glad that your service is so great, but that is not a differentiator, because again, even though it may be great, and even though everybody in the industry could have bad service, it is not a differentiator if everybody is claiming it and everybody's saying it. So the way that you can differentiate, though, along the service is if you invent or name a certain process according to what it does. So for example, one of my label printer companies clients, what we named a process called a quick print. I think it was called a quick print service, and that's what we labeled it. It's just like the easy button for the staples. It's just a marketing, right? It's just positioning, and they've even made it into an actual button where you expect to press the button and the shipment just arrives, kind of like Amazon, actually. Kind of like the Echo and the all the ways that you can get stuff like without even clicking, which is kind of scary. But if you're going to differentiate on service, please don't say that it's an excellent service. Say something specific about a specific kind of service. That could be your differentiator. Okay. I'm going to take a sip. It's wonderful to be talking all day for a living, isn't it? Okay. The next differentiator that can bankrupt you, make you go broke, is if you have written a book and you expect that having written a book in your industry is the only person or the biggest thing. So first of all, if you look at the statistics of people who read books, so the number of people is like dismal. It's very low. It's like 10% of people who actually buy and read the book. And most people don't even get past the introduction, first chapter. So, and writing a book has such a low cost of entry that everybody's done it. I've done 4, and one of them took only like a couple of weeks, and I wrote it on a plane, and I just uploaded it to KDP, which is the Kindle digital publisher. So, I mean, and I did it for actual events, which were my television appearances. So I actually published a book just to actually appear on TV. So once you've written a book, you think that people are going to be lining up to hire you, that becomes your differentiator. I won't lie, it was like a big format. I would give away books, and it was just a bigger format of my business card where people would understand what I did for a living, who I helped, and then they would read about the case studies and the stories that I told and find out about my methodology and my personality and brand in the book. But I never sold one copy. And if you go to Amazon, you can actually find many second hand copies, which are the people that I've actually given it out to are selling it for cheaper, which is like hilarious. But having written a book is no longer a differentiator, unfortunately. And I can't even think of a case or an industry where you would be the only person who've written a book in that industry so that it would make you stand out. The bestsellers, it certainly gives you credibility for sure. If it's a bestseller, now you can pay to be a bestseller. It certainly gives you credibility enough, for example, to be on TV or to be a TEDx speaker or to actually be invited to speak anywhere. But by itself, it's not a differentiator. It's just if you put everything together, then it builds credibility. But again, credibility itself is not a differentiator because there are so many people using these tools for credibility. Another one that I was going to say is awards. I've won, I write that I've won, I'm an award-winning marketer, which is an award a small award that I won when I was a marketer working for another company. And it was their industry award that they gave to the team that I worked at. But I was in that, in the position to go up and accept that award. So, and I actually needed to prove that I won that award when I was getting my US visa, the extraordinary alien visa. And it actually helped me get that visa because they don't give it to everyone, right? So yes, it is a credibility marker, but again, it's not a good differentiator. So why don't I tell you what kind of differentiators actually are good ones that are not going to make you bankrupt, but that are going to get you a lot of business. I'm not going to ever say anything different. And I've been saying it. I have clients who say to me, Chala, 10 years ago, you were saying niching, and still you're saying niching. You have always said niching. And that's what I'm going to talk about is your niche is your differentiator. And when you super niche, then you're super differentiated. And what is niching and super niching is picking just one industry or interest group and picking one facet of a very expensive problem they have to solve and to become an expert in. And that's when you pump out all your content about that one expertise, one industry expertise. So for example, I always say what my super niche is I'm an elevator pitch coach for diverse businesses who have to sell to corporations. So I have gone to almost every diversity conference. I still speak at diversity events. I'm a trainer for diversity organizations like WeBank, NMSDC, the Gay and Lesbian Association. So many different diverse groups that are selling both to each other and to corporations. And I help them figure out how to say what they do and who they help in a way that engages the buyer's interest and snags a meeting. So that's my super niche. And that is the number one way I know of how to differentiate businesses. And if you don't want to go bankrupt, please avoid all the ones that I talked about. And I will see you on the next Tuesday Tea with Chala. Don't forget to sip your tea with me. All the best.